you are in the right place at the right time because it is time to revolutionize your marketing. Welcome to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Sue Roskoff, and it is my privilege to introduce you to our amazing host, John Petros Sr. He is here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central for Revolutionize Your Marketing. John, so good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you, Sue, as always. It's my pleasure to be here and be in charge of this show.
Well, have a great show. I'm excited to be introduced to your new guest here and to hear all the wonderful things.
All right. Welcome, folks, to Revolutionize Your Marketing. I have to say it that way. That's how I say it. And like Sue said, I'm here every week, as we say, live at 5 Eastern Time. And hey, enjoy the show. I have a special guest tonight. Sara, I'm probably going to mess up this last name, but it's Sara. How do you pronounce the last name, Sara?
Barlage.
Thank you. I'm having a rough day today. Can you tell?
That's fine.
So why don't we let people know where you are and how you get to do what you're doing today? This is going to
Well,
be interesting, folks.
thank you, John. I'm happy to be here, and yeah, I'm excited to share what I do. I live in South Florida, and I started a company recently called Critter Drama. What Critter Drama does is we work with iguanas and cane toads at this point. We may expand later, but right now we're working with these two critters. They are invasive and they are destructive to Florida's ecosystem. And so critter drama goes in, we collect cane toads or iguanas, and we get rid of them for homeowners, landowners, businesses, homes, government, whoever needs it. Um, we get rid of these critters.
And how long ago did you get this started and how? How did it all
We
come
s-
about?
we started this in September. What happened of 2025? What happened is I was informed last year that I no longer had a job. So I looked for a job for about 4 months, 3 months, and I considered, going back into the same field I was in, which was project management and data analysis. And I couldn't find a job. There's a lot of job seekers out there right now. So I decided, okay, well, that's not working. What can I do? And so I thought of medical transcription and billing and regular transcription, other
Hmm.
um, conferences or whatever, just transcription in general. I thought of a dog sitting business or car wash or dog wash. I thought of alligator wrestling, all kinds of just normal things. And what stuck was iguanas and cane toads. So I sent out an email to my local neighborhood. We have 2,000 houses in my local HOA community. And I said, I would like to try this as a business. I'm not charging you. I want about 5 homes to volunteer for me to go in and pretend like I'm actually running a business and you're paying for it. And I want to get your feedback on it. And so I sent out this, it was in Facebook, and I sent out a message on Facebook. And 1 hour later, I had 17 homes reply, yes, please
Wow.
come to my house.
You were
And
looking for 5 and you got 17. That's good.
right. And I was hoping for 5. I was hoping. So then I got very stressed thinking, oh my goodness. So I shut down the post and I did all 17. Luckily, my partner in crime, his name's Wally, he was totally on board with doing this crazy idea. And he went with me and we did all 17 in the first week. And the homeowners loved it. And so then while we were launching what was Toad Drama at the time, while we were launching Toad Drama, these clients and other ones said, iguanas, do iguanas. We need help with iguanas. Please do iguanas. And Wally said, well, I do iguanas in my backyard. I might as well do it in theirs too, get paid for it. So we did iguana drama. And then we said, well, we need an umbrella corporation, company for these. So Critter Drama is the main company, and we're going to do iguana drama and toad drama, and we can add other critters as they come up.
And what do you do? Do you rescue these critters?
No, in Florida, I can say the same thing whether it's toads or iguanas. In Florida, it's actually illegal to, once you have this animal in your possession, it's illegal to release it. So you're not allowed to. So what we do, and this is true with all critters anywhere really, is if you're going to euthanize it, you have to do it humanely, very quickly and very respectfully, responsibly. And so that's something that is very, very serious to us is one that when we catch them, we don't do anything with them. We treat them with respect. You see videos. I don't know if you've heard about the videos the past couple of weeks. Florida got very cold. And so we were
Mm,
having iguanas naturally fall out of trees because what happens is when they're in a tree, when you're in a tree, you hold on, you grip the tree.
yeah.
Well, what happens is when they get a little bit too cold, the grip loosens and they fall. And it's natural. And so people talk about it's raining iguanas. Well, it actually is. The iguanas are falling out of the trees. And so what happens is, you know, I can go and pick it up. But once I pick it up, it's considered in my possession. And then it's illegal for me to relocate it. It's illegal for me to transport it alive. It's just,
Mm,
you're not allowed to do these things. So you have to euthanize them. And so, we get a lot of negative feedback, if you will, about people don't like the fact that we're euthanizing them, but they're so destructive to the ecosystem and everything. So it's a very hot topic down here because there's a lot of people who love they're God's creatures. And then there's a lot of people who understand that they're both cane toads and iguanas for different reasons are very difficult on the economy, on the infrastructure. There's a lot of problems down here with them. Cane toads, um, are toxic. So if
mm,
everybody's heard the story about a little girl, how many toads does she have to kiss until she gets her prince, and she kisses a toad and
yeah.
he becomes a prince. Well, these toads down here, first of all, they're the size of my hand. They're this big.
Wow.
They're massive. And there's these toads down here, they're toxic. So a little girl goes to kiss the toad and she might end up in the hospital. She might end up not alive anymore. I mean, they are
Wow.
very, very toxic. And I haven't heard stories about a child not being alive anymore, but I've heard of dogs regularly.
Mm,
Cats, I've actually personally seen a cat that had this, and my dog got a toad in her mouth and she almost died. I raced her to the vet, and 30 minutes later, she's a 65-pound pit bull. She was comatose, completely
wow.
unresponsive, almost died. So these
Wow.
cane toads are so, so toxic, and they're very difficult. They're hard on the environment anyway because they eat the same insects that our native toads eat. And so then our native toads are smaller and they're struggling because the cane toads are eating. So it's a delicate system and it's being destroyed by the cane toads. So
Yeah. So what do the iguanas do besides fall out of trees?
I'm sorry, what do they do?
What what do the iguanas do to make
You mean
them
why are
come?
we trying to get rid of them?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, there's several things. One is they and this is a silly answer, this part of it, but like if I plant a delicate plant in my yard, or even fruit. If I plant a fruit tree in my yard, an iguana will devour it. They love fruit. They love hibiscus, um,
Hmm.
bougainvillea, all kinds of fruit. They love fruit, and they eat them, and they devour them. They
Okay.
have salmonella, E. coli, and there's a third one, and I'm not. It's not in my head right now, but there's three bacteria that they're carriers of. Not every iguana has it, but a lot of them have it. Every one of them is a possibility of having these. So like if you touch an iguana and then you lick your hand or whatever, um, they're carriers of that. Some of the homeowners that we deal with, they have a screened-in porch and over their pool. Lots of people do in Florida. The
Yeah.
iguana gets up on top of the screen and then they poop and it goes down into the pool. That's pretty
Yeah.
gross. But there's other real problems that they've caused, such as they um, they burrow and they can burrow into the seawall. They burrow into the canal banks. They burrow into your roof. And it's not really
Hmm.
burrowing when they're the roof because you have a tile and they go up under the tile in your roof and so they'll crack your roof. But the problem with the burrowing in the seawall is it helps with erosion. Actually, it makes erosion more, worse.
Yeah.
So you're destroying the seawall and the canals. So they're they're destructive in those ways. I've also heard of people report that they burrow under cement. So your patio, your air conditioner, the pad your air conditioner sits on, stuff like that, they burrow underneath it, they crack, and so yeah, it's a huge expense.
Hmm. Yeah. I just want to make people aware of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
it's because they're also there are good lizards down here, and we wanted the ecosystem is delicate enough that we want to be able to have the good ones thrive. And
yeah.
if you're competing with food and everything, same with the toads. If you're competing with a lot of these things, when I say one about something about one, it's also about the other. They're very equal. They're both invasive. Neither one of them are native to South Florida at all. Um, they're both relatively recent. That like you'll hear people all the time say, "Well, 40 years ago, whatever." Well, they didn't. It wasn't a problem 40 years ago because they weren't here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I know people, well, I've known people in the past that have lived down in Florida. And back then, having a screen porch sometimes is a good thing, but sometimes it was a bad thing. I remember one person that my folks knew down there had a alligator that got in on your screen porch. Um,
no.
yeah, that was, they said that was fun trying to get that thing out of there.
So you've heard
Um,
the song "Burning Down the House," right?
yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I understand where you're coming from with these critters. Um, especially when they get to be a large quantity of them, it really gets to take things over.
Yeah,
Um, and that's what you're trying to prevent.
right.
Um, other parts of the country have the same problem with other critters. Uh, trying to think of some. I can't even think of some of them now. But yeah, so I totally understand what you're doing. And yeah, there's humane ways of getting it done. And
Yeah.
I mean, some people I can imagine would have been trying to take care of it themselves in not a so humane way.
Well, right.
But
Iguanas are very surprisingly almost, they're so hard to kill. They're very difficult. So if you think you're doing it humanely, you might be, but you might be torturing it because they're so hard to kill.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a balance between, I need to get this thing. killed quickly, and not let it suffer. But then also, if there's different ways we capture them. Sometimes we trap them. That's
Mhm.
always a kind of a preferred method if we can to trap them because you're not harming it when you trap it.
Right.
Although there's a requirement that if you trap something, you have to check the trap every 24 hours, or more often. What we do here at Critter Drama is we have a trail cam. We always set it up when we put up a trap, we put up the trail cam. And so we can check it every couple of hours. It's
Yeah.
intentional that obviously, for that reason. Another reason is we have found where we thought we were trying to go after an iguana, it turns out we were going after something else. It was a roof rat that was causing the problem. So,
Mm.
it answered some questions. The trail cam helped a lot. So that was kind of another funny
Yeah.
situation where it's like, oh, we need to do something a little different. We're looking for a rat, not an iguana.
Yeah.
So that's been
That
helpful.
for
But yeah,
rats,
so
it's
we have
time.
different ways.
Yeah. When it comes to rats, it's time for the exterminator.
That's me.
But yeah, I I've been in that business too. For I spent the year as an exterminator, so I know what it's like. Um, and some of the things that these little critters like mice can do, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I spent the year basically doing the same thing with different critters. That's why I know exactly where you come. Um, some of them can be a real pain.
Yeah, and we're
Um,
not trying to do rats, but
yeah,
when it happens, it happens. And I didn't want to say, oh, we don't do rats, go away, to our client. So we said, well, we'll figure it out. And so we did. So we don't really advertise that we do rats, but if if it turns into rats, then we do what we can.
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. Um, I'll tell you one story about when I was an exterminator. I actually got in trouble for it. Um, I went to a customer's house. They had a problem with bees. Okay. When I
Okay.
pulled up to the house, yeah, the basement windows were covered with bees. And of course, I didn't want to go through the house to get into the basement. They had a bulkhead in the back. Now, the bulkhead didn't have any steps. You open up the doors, and it's probably 4 foot drop to the bottom. So I did that. I went and I got halfway through the basement, and I saw swarms of bees. I, of course, wasn't getting close enough to see what kind of bees. I was told by the office when you get in there, throw a couple of bombs down, which, okay, I didn't think was going to be safe because you got a furnace down there, probably a hot water tank with pilot lights. But so I threw 2 bombs down there and the smoke bombs. And as soon as I did that, what do you think the bees did?
They swarmed you.
They started coming to me. Did you ever see somebody jump out of a hole 4 feet deep? Went back later and come to find out they were honeybees.
Oh, you're not supposed to kill honeybees.
Nope. We had a couple of beekeepers that we would have called. They would have
Yeah.
come down and just attracted them all in. So I kind of got in trouble for that a little bit, but yeah,
Wow.
I didn't think I was jumping out of that hole, but I did.
That's funny.
I couldn't get close enough to see that they were actually honeybees. You could hear them.
Yeah.
There was just so many of them. And coming to find out, they were coming in where the electrical wires were coming through the house into the basement. They were
Because they
getting
can
in
get
through
in
the
that.
hole. Then they
Hmm.
make a nest down there and they just multiply down there.
Oh,
You could see the outside through the windows, so they were all swarming up on the windows.
that's crazy.
So sometimes you got to be careful what you do. But yeah, jumping up out of that bulkhead was the fun part. I didn't think I was going to make it. And of course,
Well,
Most honeybees won't sting you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most. Um, I forget now if it's the male or female honeybees. One of them don't sting.
Okay.
Of course, are you going to examine one close enough to find out? So,
Nope.
yeah, that's that's just one of my many stories.
That's
It was an
crazy.
interesting year. It was a
Yeah.
real interesting year.
How long were you an exterminator?
I was only an exterminator for 1 year.
Okay.
Um, I even had a problem down in the Boston area. The company had it set up where if the Board of Health was in, we didn't show up. Too many ifs and ands and buts, too much of a gray area between the Board of Health and the exterminators.
Okay.
Uh, and when I checked in at this particular restaurant, no, this particular supermarket, they neglected to tell me that the guy from the Board of Health was in there. Of course, Board of Health people, they love to complain about things. So complained the way I was doing my job. So me and the boss had to go down to a hearing before the health department down in the town outside of Boston. His- He complained about the bakery area. Yeah, he happened to see me around the bakery area in the supermarket,
Uh-huh.
and he didn't like the way I was doing it. I was following procedure, doing it the way I was supposed to do it.
Right.
He made the supermarket throw everything out they had in the cases, all the bakery goods. So supermarket
Oh,
wanted my company to pay for all the pastries. They compromised and split it down the middle,
wow.
all because he didn't like the way I was doing something.
Ah. So I guess that's why you don't go in if they're there. Wow.
It wasn't open yet either. That's the funny part about it.
Yeah.
They didn't have much. They didn't have many bakery products out, but I wasn't even close to the bakery. That I would not do. It's just the fact he saw me in there and they had bakery stuff out. I wasn't even there, but he would have assumed I would have been. But
Yeah.
no, I didn't get fired. I just got told, be careful next time. I said, yeah, tell them to let me know that they're in there. Yeah, it's things like that that get taken out of proportion.
Yeah.
So, um, anyway, so what else can you tell us about what you do?
Um, well, we have we have several silly things that have happened, different stories of things that, that have happened to us while we're doing it. Um, we didn't know how to do this until we started doing it, which was one of the reasons why I went and asked for 5 yards to participate in my pilot program. And I remember right before we did that, I think the day before we tried with these 5 yards, um, we were walking our dog, the one that got the
Yeah,
cane toad and became so sick. Um, and I got a poop bag for the dog. And I saw a cane toad on the ground right in front of us when we were walking the dog. And I said,
yeah,
okay, let's try this. And I just went over and I picked it up. And I thought, oh, good. Okay, I got it. Now what? So I'm sitting there holding this thing. This is the size of my hand now. These are not little
yeah,
bitty cute toads. These are massive. And so I'm holding this thing in my hand about this big, and I'm holding it like this Well, I learned the hard way that the first thing these guys do when you pick them up is pee. And they pee and pee and pee. I mean to tell you, there is a gusher, and I was in the shower. I mean, like that was the grossest thing ever, and so that's how I learned about that. Um, and
Yeah.
so then you have this thing, and there's two ways to kill cane toads. Well, there's lots of ways, obviously, but there's two ways that are very effective and less horrible. The first way, the way we use, we cool them down, make their bodies cool, and it kind of puts them to sleep a little bit, and then you freeze them, and that ends their life. And they just kind of go to sleep.
Mm.
So I think that that's probably as good as you're going to get. Another way would be to you flip them over after they're done peeing and expose their belly. And then you put there's a couple of chemicals that you can just put on their belly, and it just puts them to sleep. And so what we decided to do is go ahead and buy a freezer for the garage and just keep them in the freezer, to cool them down. You cool them first and then you put them in the freezer, and that ends their life. And so that's probably the way we'll do it going forward. I think that's the way most people do it. Um, so yeah, that's kind of, how we got like that's the first time we ever did it. I just picked one up and went, let's see how this works. And went from there. It was so funny. And then the iguana is kind of the same thing. We went, well, how do you catch one? And we just kind of went from there. We have a couple of ways. Obviously, the trap that everybody thinks of, the metal cage with the door that traps.
Yeah.
Um, that's that's one of the traps that we can use. Iguanas don't often use they don't go in there. It's hard to trick them to get in there. Now, I don't think iguanas are smart, but I don't know why they don't go in there. But a lot of people who are trying to trap iguanas, the traps just aren't very successful. Um, Sometimes they are, but most of the time we don't. Another way we can do it is Wally, my partner in life and partner in business. Um, he used to be a fisherman, and for fun he did it growing up. He was a fisherman,
Yeah.
and so he knows a little bit about fishing. I know nothing about fishing, so he bought a 12-foot long fishing pole with a reel and fishing line, and he calls it 100-pound test line. Apparently that's a thing. I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
it's durable. So it goes along the fishing pole, and then it goes to the end, and then there's a noose. And the reason for the noose is you've got this noose, and the iguana comes up, and it's, right in here somewhere, the head of the iguana. And then what happens is the noose just tightens around, and you can either pull up on the fishing pole, or if the iguana keeps running, it'll snag the noose and it'll tighten up around his neck. Now, like what I already said earlier, iguanas are very difficult to kill. One of the things is their skin is very, very, very thick, very sturdy. So what I try to explain to people is they don't realize that you got them around the neck. It might as well be around their wrist or their midriff or their ankle. It's not like they're not going, "Ugh," um,
Yeah.
it just is. There's just something there holding them. So it's not really as hard on them as you and I think it is, because our necks are a little bit more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's another way we can catch iguanas. We also, unfortunately, sometimes we have to kill them with a gun. Um, Air rifles are legal in Florida, and we try and dispatch them as quickly as possible and just put them down with a gun. So
Mm.
those are the different
Yeah.
ways. One of my
Yeah.
funny iguana stories. This is a learning experience, but it was not one of the early ones. Um, we had Well, sort of. We had a live iguana in a bucket with a lid on it. We were just transporting it home, which in Florida, it's illegal to transport an iguana unless you have the proper documentation, which we do. So
Yeah.
we have the documentation. We transported this to our house, and I put the tub with the lid on it right next to our garage. And Wally went into the house and he said, "I'll help you with the iguana in a few minutes." I forget. He was doing something and he said, "We'll do it in about 5 minutes." Okay, fine. And so me being the smart, intelligent, wonderful person that I am says, "I don't need his help." Right? So now you know where this is going. So I went out and decided to take care of it myself. And um I picked up the iguana and he had I thought he was taped. Like sometimes we tape their hands so that
Yeah.
they can't run. And I thought he had tape around him. But he got out of the tape because we used something that wasn't as sticky as it should have been. So I thought he was taped and he wasn't. And so I picked him up and I realized that there's no tape on him and I dropped him. And he drops onto the ground and then, as you know, I've already said they fall out of trees all the time and they don't get hurt. So again, this
Yeah.
didn't hurt him. So I just dropped him and he ran into our garage. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
okay, this is really going to look really professional if I let him out. Our neighbors are not going to be happy. So I shut the garage door. So then I had to go in the house and I said, Wally, there's a iguana loose in our garage. And he said, okay. All right, let's see. He goes, well, where'd it come from? And I'm like, that one you told me to wait for you and you'd help me with, that's the one that's loose in our garage now. So yeah, that was one of those where now I've learned to calm down and let him do his, he can help me. He turned out he was behind our water heater. So it was, you have the wall and the water heater, and that's where the
Yeah.
noose came in handy because Wally was able to get the noose down and get it around him and pull him back out without, so we didn't have to tear apart the water heater in the house. So yeah,
Lesson learned.
yeah, oops.
So, um, let's see if Kurt's available. I'm sure he's gonna have some good questions here, listening to this. Kurt, here you are.
Hi,
Come
Kurt.
on in here.
Sarah, John, so we're turning that point for the show. So this is where we kind of make a little shift. All right. So we're talking about iguanas and what's the name of the toad again? The
Cane,
cane
like
toad.
you're
Cane
walking with a
toad.
cane toad.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't really dive into thought about cane toad yet in my mind, but as far as iguanas. You know, now you're saying both the iguanas and the cane toads both are restricted in Florida that you can't release either one of these, right?
Right. FWC prohibits the transport or release of either one of them. Oh,
So when you look at, let's start with iguana. When you look at an iguana in the world, so I'm getting it that it doesn't work out so well in Florida, not a native species. What is the significance of iguanas in the world? Like, what role do they play?
Um, well, in South Florida, it's a destructive role.
Yeah, but
I
in the
don't,
world, outside of Florida,
yeah,
in the greater
I
world.
don't really know. I know that they where they're not invasive, it's not such a big deal. Because they have natural predators and everything. But down here, I don't, I've been so focused on here that I don't know what they would do not here. You know, they're really cool looking. They look like dinosaurs.
Yeah, so So if we go to the idea of doing our Googles and get the AI overview of me asking that question in Google,
Uh-huh.
this is what the AI overview tells us. Iguanas are vital ecosystem engineers in tropical habitats. So apparently Florida's not tropical, correct?
Well, it is in that they thrive here, but they're not native to here. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. Um, i- Tropical, as in more tropical than South Florida, I guess.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I'm gathering too. So,
Yeah.
so iguanas are vital ecosystem engineers in tropical habitats, acting as primary seed dispersers for many plants and maintaining vegetation balance through herbivory. As prey for predators like snakes and hawks, and due to their role in digging burrows, they are essential for healthy, biodiverse environments and nutrient cycling. So the
Okay.
key roles and function of
Yeah.
iguanas include seed disbursement. Iguanas consume a wide variety of plants and fruits, spreading seeds through their digestive system, which often improves germination rates. Ecosystem engineering, they dig burrows and nests that alter the soil and provide shelter for other species. Vegetation management, as herbivores, they help regulate the growth of plants and vines. Food chain component, they serve as a crucial food source for various predators, including hawks, snakes, and in some regions, humans. Environmental
Yeah.
indicators, their health and behavior can signal changes in the environment, helping researchers identify ecological problems. Threats and conservation. Despite their importance, many iguana species are threatened by habitat loss, climate change, and invasive species. While some, like green iguana, are abundant and often considered invasive outside their native range, others are critically endangered.
Yes.
So
So,
when you humanely kill these iguanas, what do you do when they're dead in your possession? What do you do with them?
well, that's a great question.
Right? I like to ask the
Um,
diggers,
so humans do eat them. They can eat the meat inside. Um, what Critter Drama does with them is we give them to a local farm, and the local farm uses all of the iguana for either feed or for fertilizer for their plants. They can grind it up and fertilize, use it, either compost or directly on the fertilizer. I don't know exactly how she uses them. I have been told, legally speaking, that it would be better for me not to know all of the details, because if I say, oh, she's using them to make candy, then if she's not making candy with them, then I'm liable, then I have a problem. And I use candy as the example because nobody's making iguana candy. But you know what I'm saying? They don't,
Yeah.
the suggestion is for us not to say exactly how my farmer uses them, but she uses the whole animal. And yeah, so we're trying to keep it um, that the death is not senseless, that we're actually, paying it forward a little bit.
There we go. There we go. I'm going to quickly run through the AI overview on cane toads just to give cane toads equal feature today. So cane
They
toads,
appreciate that.
I bet. So cane toads, Rhinella marina, are large, highly toxic, and prolific amphibians native to the Americas, widely introduced
South America.
as a failed biological control agent against agricultural pests. As one of the world's most destructive invasive species, they disrupt ecosystems by preying on native wildlife and killing predators with potent toxins. Key roles and impacts. Failed pest control, originally introduced in the 1930s to 40s to sugarcane plantations in Australia, Florida, and the Pacific to control beetles. They failed due to differences in habitat. Toads are ground dwelling, beetles are not. Invasive species disruptor. They are considered a premier invasive species, spreading rapidly and dominating local ecosystems, causing significant decline in native frogs, reptiles, and small mammals. Environmental danger. Their skin contains potent toxins, bufotoxin, that are lethal to predators, including native animals like quolls, snakes, and crocodiles. Impact on biodiversity. They cause severe declines in native predators, and by consuming diverse prey, they also affect food chains. Their tadpoles can harm native tadpoles. Minor utilitarian roles. In their native range, they are part of the ecosystem. Elsewhere, they have been used in or researched for pregnancy testing, leather, and pharmaceutical applications treating prostate cancer. Current status. Cane toads are now widely considered an ecological disaster in areas like Australia, with extensive management efforts needed to control their impact. Wow, Sarah, I'm 54 years old, and it wasn't for you here on this show, I never would have ventured to ask Google for any of that or ever would have read that. Wow, what a
Well,
role you play,
So
Sarah.
I could add a little bit more to that because it's actually fascinating. Um, so think of it any plant, but a sugarcane plant. Um, you have the beetle that is destroying your plant. So you bring in these cane toads without researching cane toads themselves. Um, what happened is they brought in these cane toads to deal with the beetles, and the beetles are up on the side of the plant. Cane toads cannot climb at all. I mean, if you've got the most gradual slope in the world, it can get up it, but it cannot climb. So you're trying to bring in something that's going to get rid of your beetle, who is not going to be on the ground, but what you brought in is something that can't leave the ground. So that's what happened. And so it didn't solve the
mm,
problem of the sugarcane beetle, and it created a much worse problem, you know, in the end, it was a much worse problem. So yeah, that was kind of one of those where it's like, oops, um, we made a mistake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mm,
so we're here at Revolutionize Your Marketing. I feel like somewhere in this is revolution. We are revolutionizing here somehow. But Sarah, what would you say to this? Like, as you're venturing to be available and to come to the rescue and help Florida address this issue, what are your marketing considerations? Like, kind of where are you at in this curve of penetrating the marketplace and your marketing's working to some extent because John introduced you to me, and I'm out here I'm not in Florida, but I do have water skiers that we know in Florida that they may need your help. So maybe
There you go.
we'll get USA Water Ski and Wake Sports involved with this and let them know if there's any iguanas. We know a girl.
There you go. Yep. I can help you with your iguana and your cane toad problem. Um,
Yeah.
so with the marketing angle, we have a presence on, the different platforms, Google Maps review, all the Google stuff, um, Facebook, um, Nextdoor. Um, I have some stuff out on LinkedIn, but I'm not really that excited about it. I don't think that that's a big win for us. Maybe it will be. I don't know. Um, and then we have a great website that one of our local guys here is doing. I met him on Alignable, which is where I met John. I'm out there on the Alignable. through Alignable, I have met some local people. One of them is another company that does what Critter Drama does. And so he and I have been talking about what they do compared to what we do. And we're in different areas, so we don't really directly compete. So it's kind of, there's two guys now that I'm collaborating with because they're not in our area. And one guy does fences because one of the ways that you can deal with cane toads is to put up a fence. And we're not talking about just any fence. This fence has to be so that these cane toads, they can get underneath the fence. So that it has to, these barriers have to go about 6 inches deep into the soil. And they have to be so that now, since these guys don't climb, it has to be, a foot or two high, but it doesn't have to be the whole, 6 feet tall or anything like that. But so one of the guys that we're working with, he installs fences. Um, and another guy, he also does raccoons and some other stuff that Critter Drama doesn't do. So I think that being that we're in different areas, if they have a client in our area and vice versa, we'll share that information too. So as far as marketing goes, those are the biggest wins. One of the things that we have to do constantly is educate. And we have a lot of people out there who they're very upset at the fact that we have to euthanize these, but I don't want to risk my license with Florida Fish and Wildlife and do it wrong, so we have to educate. There's a lot of education that goes involved with this. Our website has a lot of information. Our Facebook page is loaded with information about um, um, what these things are doing and how we try and get rid of them, without harming them, additional harm, needless harm. I try and do several posts a week on Facebook and Nextdoor and educate people on just different aspects of both iguanas and cane toads. I have a long list of did you know type things that I put out there. So I think that those are the best angles, is the education and then just trying to reach different people, get out there.
Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little reveal here of what I was doing on my browser here. Look at this. I see this fantastic profile here. I got a pending request. I'm following. Look at that Critter Drama. And then through the contact information here, I was able to see toaddrama.com. And look at that. And it immediately brought me to cane toad removal experts. Um, Now, okay, cane toad. So here we're on your website.
So you
Cane
can
toad.
take off on the URL, you can take off cane toad removal, and
Ah, I
that's
gotcha.
our home
I
site.
got to come
There's
back to
there's
Critter
links.
Drama
Yeah,
here.
there's links. That's our main site right
There we
there.
go. This is more what I wanted to get to. Yep. So
Yep.
look at this great website, folks. Critterdrama.com. So with
And
that, yep. Go
this is
ahead,
the
sir.
website that Wally built. And it served its purpose. It got us launched. But Better Business Web is making our new website, and I think it's going to be out in the next couple of days. So unfortunately, it wasn't out today, but it's beautiful. He's doing a really good job. I'm really excited.
Yeah, what we can do is if you get John the notification, well, when it gets updated, it's still gonna be the same URL, right?
Yes.
So we'll just see a new page. All right, yeah, we're all good. So John, I want to bring it back to you. I kind of mixed it up, slushed and sloshed around, and I kept on talking to let you stay on mute there, while you're still on mute, and so we kind of put the muffle on this guy here.
Yeah, I had to put it down. Kids are leaving the daycare, so it got a little noisy. But yeah, it's you both both of you is actually educated people. um, Kurt was looking up his information and he's grateful. This is why I call him my co-host. I bring him at the end. Now you see why, Sarah.
That's fun. That was fun. I'm glad you did that. The only thing you
But
missed was our Facebook page, and the new guy that's doing our website is going to have the links to our social media, and the Facebook page will be in there because
yeah.
that's not linked. I don't think it's linked.
Now, I got a question for you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Have you thought about taking your campaign on live stream locally?
No. On where? Like,
Live stream, like on Paramount.
no.
I could do that for you and
Okay,
keep
I'm
it
interested.
local. We can talk about that later.
Okay. Yeah, let's
I
do
have
that.
access to Paramount's live stream, and I found out it is relatively easy to do. Uh, they do have multiple channels that it can go on to, including, I believe they even have a wildlife live stream channel. I don't know if it would be good to put what you do on that, but yeah,
Okay.
there
Yeah,
would
let's talk about that.
be
That's
people.
All right, so I don't want to leave any loose ends in our show here. I think this is the page you're talking about, Sarah. Happy Groundhog Day from Critter Drama. So we've been taking advantage of that all February. But Critter Drama, Iguana and Caden, Toad Removal. I got it liked now. You got another like. Let's keep getting these followers up here. Look at all this information. We're back to Critter Drama. So we got Critter Drama and oh, that's what it is on your Facebook or on your LinkedIn profile. It lists Toad Drama, which goes to the Toad Removal on your Critter Drama page. So it's interesting how you have that all set up. But
I probably just grabbed the wrong URL. So yeah. See,
yeah,
did you see how big that toad was? If you scroll up a little bit, that's my thumb right there.
very
So if
good.
look at your
Yeah,
thumb and like the toad is,
yeah, we're talking serious critters here. Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that's average. That one was average. That wasn't like, oh my gosh, look at this big huge toad. It was just an average guy. And then if you think about that guy peeing, it's a lot of pee.
Yeah, an interesting note on
Yeah.
critters. I told you about the water skiing. So since you're from South Florida, I need to share this for our audience here and for you, Sarah, that Sue and I and her daughter, we as a family belong. I was telling you before the show about the 100 members of the ski team, where
Yeah.
the nonprofit is called the Pewaukee Lake Water Ski Club Incorporated. But as the ski team and performing for the audience and having a mascot or alter ego thing, we are the Pewaukee Gators,
Pewaukee.
which obviously gets its inspiration from Florida. So there you go. You have friends in Pewaukee known as the Pewaukee Gators, and so we are your critters that are just a phone call away, Sarah. So if you ever need gators, we're here for you.
Well, I considered doing alligator wrestling as one of my uh, jobs before I picked up critter drama. So it would have been like gator drama.
Oh my gosh. Okay, mark your calendar. Mark your calendar for February 5th, 6th, and 7th. We do a 3-day event every year on this Zoom that we're on right now. And we do a Festivus themed event where John loves that event every year. Festivus for the rest of us, Feats of Strength. It's Festivus in February. So people are like, wait, I thought Festivus is December 23rd. Well, yeah, it's like Christmas is December 25th, but you can do Christmas in July. We do Festivus in February. But if you know anything about Festivus, you got airing of grievances. You got the Festivus poll, Festivus miracles, the Festivus meal. You got all the parts to it, including feats of strength. So since you talked about alligator wrestling, we're going to have a little skit with you. You choose the date, February 5th, 6th, or 7th, and we're going to have an alligator wrestling skit with you and the rest of us. We're going to put that together.
As long as I'm not involved in it, I'm good with that.
No, no, you're going to be part of the skit. It's going to be like in ski show fashion, just like we do on our stage at Lakefront Park in Pewaukee, and we do a little skit to entertain the audience during our ski show. We're gonna have a little skit, alligator wrestling, and we're gonna get it recorded, and we're gonna put it out there in global streaming television networks, and watch it get gobbled up by all of our viewers. Be the big craze.
And
Alligator
look at it
wrestling.
this way, Sarah, you get to partake in Sue and Kurt's house party.
Yeah, that's it. You got your invitation right here live. The whole world knows you've been
All
invited.
right. I'm putting on my calendar for next year.
The
There
beginning
you
of
go.
the month, I was partaking in the games that were going on at the house. But where was I? Right in my house in Massachusetts.
Yeah. So now we
Well, I
got
will.
alligator. I'm going to start letting people know. Look forward to 27. We've been doing this for 30 years, Sarah.
So I have to
So
wait 11 more months before I can actually see what you come up with.
yeah, there is a site that if you want to check a little bit of what you just got yourself into, we have festivus.now.site, and this shows you what we just did a few weeks ago. So there we go. You're talking. We had the soup Nazi. So for the soup Nazi, we had potato soup, and we did a scavenger hunt, games. We do a shakedown. We do our World of Ability podcast, and we have a little section here for those that are actually coming to our house. But otherwise, everything's on Zoom. So look at this fun crew right here. The experiences we give to the kids. I mean, it's just such a wholesome thing. Look at that family of mine, eh? So yeah, it's the wife, daughter, and dog for me. So, and then there's a little thing here, don't push the buttons. So, just a little advisement when you visit the site. And then we even got a logo. Look at all that. We even have previous years. You can look at
Oh,
2025, 2024, and so that's
Roscoff's
just us.
Manor.
What's
that's
that?
so cool.
Roscoff's Manor. Even the
That's
map on
it.
how to get there.
In a manner of speaking, you got it. All right, John, how are we wrapping up here, bro? We've come to the conclusion of your show spot here. How are we going to do this now? Are we doing an
Well,
encore? I don't know.
no, the encore was last week.
Yeah, we did that last week. Yeah, we'll save that as last week's news. Okay.
Like Sarah said, she watched those two podcasts from last week and the week before.
Nice.
Sarah, if people are interested in knowing more about what you do, what's the best way for them to find you?
Well, the URL that Kurt just shared, critterdrama.com and toaddrama.com, uh, are probably the best way. If they want to contact us, if they want to just learn and see what we're doing, the Facebook page is kind of the best way because it has pictures and videos. I'm constantly uploading different photos and stuff. There's lots of videos on our Facebook page of both Wally and I, when we captured these things, and the capture and the work we're doing. So yeah, critterdrama.com is probably the easiest way to find us. And then when
Okay.
they redo the website in the next couple of days, they'll have the link for Facebook on that main site.
All right. There you go, folks. If you want to know more about these critters that are creating havoc in South Florida, go to critter.com,
And next year we're going to do one
critterdramas.com.
for to let you know that we've expanded, and you'll hear about the new critters because I already have that in my sites, an expansion.
And as for me, folks, if you're interested in getting a hold of me, being a guest on my podcast, want to talk to me on Zoom one-to-one, my calendar link is Calendly. That's CAN. I screwed this up all today. Unless I'm looking at my keyboard, I'm used to typing it in. It's CALENDLY.com/Mill City Marketing MA. And that'll get you to my calendar link. if you're interested in coming on my podcast, set up a one-on-one with me first and then book a date on my calendar. If you are on Alignable, look me up on Alignable. I have a page either with my name or my business name, Mill City Marketing MA, on pretty much all social media platforms. If you're interested in marketing, which I do, feel free to get a hold of me, folks. Want to see any of my previous podcasts? Go to YouTube, type in Mill City Marketing MA, and you can watch them live there. Like we say in the network here, live at 5 Eastern Time. Any last words from you, Kurt?
Well, I am playing a little bit with Chat GPT now because I'm in this frame of mind that Sarah's out there. Dun 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 dun. Here comes Sarah to save the day. Don't worry about your iguanas or cane toads and any of that. She'll take care of it. So I got Chat GPT drumming up a look at we can reveal it right here. This will be helping our conclusion here. So here we go. Critter drama Supergirl Toad Free Zone. We can make improvements on that, but there we go. We got to spice up the show.
I love it.
There we go.
Oh man, apparently
just for you, Sarah.
Sue is at the helm. We want to give acknowledgement again to Sue Roscoff, our other co-host and intro girl and producer in the background there. So John, I think we're done. That Sue can poke a fork in us. We're done. There we go. Bye bye.